Your turn, girl.
It's about time. For real.
Men do not hold their friends accountable. We know statistically there are more single black mothers than any other race. So I have to ask, it couldn't possibly be black men holding other black men accountable.
True Lacey is going to make a very good logical response to this argument because it's an argument that we've heard 1,000 times. But the real problem with this argument is that it's a problem that is more than just a Western problem. We're starting to see this problem all over the world. We all know this story.
He had a child before I indulged with him.
One child.
Right. Then I got pregnant with my daughter, which we both wanted a child. So, you know, he didn't cheat on me then. So after my daughter was born, he started cheating. We didn't deal, and then he got someone else pregnant. So it wasn't like I was with him when his 2 children were born. So I decided to get pregnant because he's nice company and the sex is good.
So you can hear the criteria she used to select her, well, the father of her children. And the reason why I showed Snoop on the beginning of this video is because there is a role that needs to be taken by women. We'll just put it that way. We'll get to that. But you heard her selection criteria. We know this story.
Excuse me, so I decided, well, I'd rather have him as a friend. If I can't keep him as a friend, then, you know, I don't want him. So I decided, well, if I have another baby, well, he'll stay with me. He'll be my friend. He don't have to be with me because he's young. He's not going to commit right now, but in the future.
But shouldn't you?
Now you're going to hear Ricky Lake, and she's going to say something that represents old order thinking that we're going to have to adapt to because it's spreading all around the world.
If you're going to have a child with somebody, shouldn't he commit? I mean, if he's old enough to have a child, then he's old enough to certainly make a commitment.
Sounds good, doesn't it? That's not the way the world works anymore. New York Times article reads, for China's single mothers, a road to recognition paved with false starts. Unmarried mothers are often denied government benefits, a debate over the policies being propelled by a declining birth rate, and a new generation of independent Chinese women. So in 2017, Ms. Zhou, you see the article is from May 31st, 2021, Ms. Zhou, a financial worker, went to court to challenge Shanghai's policy of giving maternity benefits to married women only. She had little success, losing a lawsuit into appeals. Then earlier this year, the city dropped the marriage requirement, and she received the check in her bank account. She barely began celebrating when they reinstated the policy. Unmarried women were once again ineligible, and she said, I always knew there's a possibility. If they make me give the money back, I guess I'll give it back. The flip-flop by Shanghai authorities reflects a broader reckoning in China about long-standing attitudes toward family and gender.
I didn't want to commit. I just wanted him, you know, in my life.
You guys know who this is. You know this voice. This is Obsidian.
Let's get to the good part.
In high school where you going to basketball games, football games. It's a lot of men at the football games and the basketball games, but when you go to these, places where people are serving food and you're going places that's like deeper in the bad parts of town, you don't see black men. You don't see black men being leaders. You see them, that ain't my business. This ain't my child. I don't know who that is. I used to work somewhere and this little boy used to just run away from home. He had 3 men staying around him in houses. Nobody wanted to help him. Nobody wanted to talk to him.
We know how this ends. When you take the father out of the situation and you let ladies do as they choose in the black community, we know the ending of it.
I'm gonna keep my name off the package for a time. I'm gonna keep wholesaling. Step back a bit.
Only in Guangdong province, which borders Hong Kong, allows unmarried women to apply for maternity insurance. Many places women still face fines and other penalties for giving birth outside of marriage. But as China's birth rate has plummeted in recent years and a new generation of women embrace feminist ideals, those traditional values have come under increasing pressure.
I don't need anybody to help me support my kids. I support them on my own.
Well, that's
and
good.
And I do very well with my kids.
That's good and all, but is that smart?
I'm happy, so it's smart enough.
I mean, not saying that they had to, but It is the point where I just feel like a lot of black men don't want to be leaders in the black community. They don't want to or don't care enough to try to help black kids in these neighborhoods.
This is a picture of the lady mentioned earlier in the New York Times article. Ms. Zhu, who found out she was pregnant after breaking up with her boyfriend, said she would continue fighting for recognition even though she did not need the money. This is about the right to choose, she said. Currently, when an unmarried woman gets pregnant, you can either get married or the other option. Why not give people the right of a third choice? As education levels have risen in recent years, more Chinese women have rejected marriage, childbirth, or both. Only 8.1 million couples got married in 2020, according to the government statistics, the lowest number since 2003. Now, about those choices.
Yes. So what happened with protection?
That's what I'm saying. That's the only person I sleep with. If I'm not a whore.
Yeah, but you're
whatever.
not the only person he sleeps with.
I know.
Football still gonna think we weak. Not coming out to claim what's ours.
To try to help black kids in these neighborhoods. Like, I don't see it. I see a lot of women. At these after school programs, you know, starting businesses that's helping these kids. But I don't see the men doing it. And like I said, it started with the men, but if the men don't want to do it, we're gonna have to step up as women.
Well,
I don't want a commitment.
So why did you get pregnant?
I wanted him in my life. He's still my friend. If I didn't have these kids, no telling where he would be.
And a lot of that stems from they feel slighted because the women that are in these areas who have kids were women that curved them. For whatever reason, they've translated that to mean I'm absolved of any relationship, any responsibility as a man to give to my community because I was slighted sexually. And that's what we're dealing with right now.
What is going on here?
Nothing really. You know, I wasn't ready to settle down. So.
Will you settle down with Vicky?
No.
Yes, he will.
Police leave them corners, he's gonna be back out there. I know he will.
So that's why I tell women to just make the best decisions possible because it's really hard on the back end with the men. It's really hard to get help now because it's difficult. Not to make this a male bashing space, but I do think it's important that men understand how much we need them.
Each one of my children was made in my house. I don't have to go to
First of all, I know we won't get back together for the simple fact I never go backwards, I always go forward.
Well, if you don't never go back, how do I have 2 more children back?
Okay, let me just throw something out here, okay? You say you got pregnant on purpose to get him, to keep him.
We'll listen, but you gotta be present. And we won't listen if it's really the subtext is always sex. That's not manhood to me.
Tons of scholars are studying the effects of postmodernism on societies. And what you're seeing in China is on the beginning of that curve, as you're seeing single mothers now petitioning the government for resources that traditionally came from marriage and men. And now that women have the resources to choose their partner and petition the government for resources if their own resources don't meet their needs, you end up with the problem that you see here.
And do not hold their friends accountable. We know statistically there are more single black mothers than any other race. So I have to ask, it couldn't possibly be black men holding other black men accountable.
This is why that logic is flawed, right? Because what you're not taking into account is that a lot of women have baby daddies by who already have kids. You know what a shocking stat is that 30% of men in this country today are still virgins. And that 3% of men have no kids and no woman.
Now, there is the problem. You have to incentivize men who are not getting the ability to be irresponsible. If you're rewarding irresponsible men, the responsible men will quit or they'll leave.
Single. But women choose a select few men to constantly have kids with. So you cannot blame all men for you continuously choosing a select few men who are already baby daddies. That's not saying that all men are not accountable. That's saying you're choosing unaccountable. Those are two different things.
Your turn, girl.
You guys know I love the Wire references. Snoop was good at her job. And when her time came up, when her number was called, she did her job well. Maybe even a little too well. But it's an allegory for the fact that if we're going to live in a society where postmodern, you don't need responsible men for marriage and family anymore, and women are going to choose the mate that, I don't know, stimulates them over the responsible mate, then those women have to step up and assume responsibility for those mating choices. Otherwise, responsible men have no incentive to contribute to the system. China is on the beginning end of it. The black community is on the far end of it. We've already seen several generations of men who have said, there's nothing in it for me, so why should I contribute? And the only way to fix it is for women to be accountable for their mating decisions. That's the taboo word, women. Accountability. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.